I was struggling. I was in a really bad place.
I found out that I wasn't legally married.
My feelings had died out and I was just suffering in that relationship.
Islamically, he already gave me the 3 talaqs.
I was desperate to get divorced, so Jav's helped us out a lot.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters with me, your host, Javaid Iqbal. Now, today we're going to talk about something that affects a lot of individuals, especially women, and that is financial independence, whether that's pre-marriage, during the marriage, or post-marriage. Now, what tends to happen traditionally is a woman gets married, her financial sort of security is linked to that of the husband. So whether it's a house, it's a car, it's savings, whatever. Now, what's happening in recent times is women more and more increasingly want their own financial independence, and rightly so. Even Islamically, they are allowed their own financial independence. Whatever you bring into the marriage is yours. What is yours is yours. What is your husband's is also yours. So we shouldn't really have that distinction. But as we know, within Islamic marriages, within certainly cultural marriages that are run in a certain traditional way within certain communities, ladies, unfortunately, have very little control, if any, over their finances. Now, joining me today is Sarish Nasir, who is an advocate of women empowerment and who teaches women and guides them into how to be financially independent, both pre-marriage, during the marriage, and post-separation. Sarish, are you there?
Hi, Islam, I'm here, yes.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, taking time out to come on the show. Now, I was just introducing you, saying that obviously this is what you do now. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because I understand from our conversations, you obviously you were a teacher before, and now you're into a multitude of different things, and you've got your hands in every single pie. So tell us a little bit more.
Yes, so I was a primary school teacher, but I was working long hours. I was going to work for 5 to 7 in the morning, and with 3 children, it just wasn't working. So I was wanting something with that would give me that time freedom, because this is the issue with women who are wanting a career. It's working around our other responsibilities, our roles, our children, our partners, and the home. So that's why I left teaching, and I've always been an advocate of female empowerment. I didn't see myself going into that role, but I found myself here, and I'm wanting to support women to have that financial independence and to have that knowledge of why it is important as women to have financial independence.
Right, okay, thanks for that. So, okay, what in your eyes, or what in your opinion, is financial independence, and what is sort of female empowerment in relation to that? How would you sort of sum that up in your own head, how you see it?
So financial independence is, heaven forbid anything happen to your spouse, your partner, your father, your brother, because in Islam, we are given that luxury where the males in our family have to financially provide for us, and it does make us comfortable. But I'm trying to raise awareness not to be too comfortable, and we need to be financially independent, because what if that male was no longer there? How are you going to support yourself? And how are you, if you have children, how are you going to support your children? So financial independence for me is women having key life skills to be able to earn an income to support themselves and their children if they have any. And this is such a personal topic for me. I'll go back to my story. So I'm the eldest of 8 siblings. Okay, I come from a traditional Pakistani home. We are 8 sisters. I'm the eldest at 31, and we go all the way down to 13. And that was an issue in itself. Not having any sons in the house, no, but my father, he never let us feel that being a daughter was any less valuable than being a boy, because as you know, in our culture, there is that superiority for males and boys, that they are here and then women come somewhere down below. But I can give you an example. When my 5th sister was born, people would come to, instead of coming to congratulate us, they would say things like Allah ni marziya. And that is something you normally hear when you're going to a funeral.
Yeah, they're almost like commiserating with your parents rather than congratulating them. They're kind of saying, oh, well, you know, I'm really sorry it happens.
Yeah, it happened.
It's pretty disgusting, to be honest, but carry on.
Exactly, and that is, I'm trying to break away from that culture. And my father, and as you would expect, having 8 girls, like some men would be like, oh, I don't have a son, but he never let us acknowledge that. And I think from that, and my dad telling us the value of women, it's really embedded that female empowerment aspect, and that we should have equality as well. And that doesn't mean we want to be the same as men. It just means we want our rights like we were given in Islam 1400 years ago.
And I think what obviously, which you've missed out, which obviously we spoke about pre the show and in our discussion, sadly, and may Allah grant them a position in the highest heaven, your father passed away when you were relatively young, and you obviously 8 siblings, so it was just your mum and 8 daughters left to fend for themselves. So how old were you when your dad passed?
So yes, my dad passed away. He was only 39. He had no illnesses. He passed away from a heart attack. My mum was 38. I myself was 19. However, my youngest sibling was 2 years old. She doesn't even remember my father.
There's 8 of them.
Yeah, so there's 8. My mum was left with 8 daughters to look after 8 daughters, financially, emotionally, as well as dealing with her emotional well-being. So just want to give my mum credit because
Absolutely.
She's an absolute strong woman. Yeah. So again, my mom was comfortable at home. She had that traditional role where she was looking after the children, and my dad was the bread earner. He would go out to work, and then suddenly nobody could have anticipated what happened, that our dad was going to leave us, and then she had to go and be the bread earner.
How did she cope with that? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, is your mum born and bred in this country, or did she come from abroad post-marriage?
Yeah, so my mum, alhamdulillah, she was born in this country, and alhamdulillah, she had previous experience working. So before she had her children, she was a supervisor at a co-op. So she did have those life skills or sociable skills to be able to go out and work. However, she hadn't worked for 20 years because, yeah,
8
so
children
it was a bit of a
pasture.
shock. Yeah. So again, not from being comfortable at home to going back out there and working was a real struggle for her. Because she's not worked for a long period of time, it was difficult for her to find a job.
Absolutely, she'd been out of the workforce.
Yes, yeah. So
she'd been out of the workforce for so long. Sarish, stay right there. We're going to carry on with this discussion after the break. We'll see you on the other side, inshallah. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Do you need help with your marriage? Do you suspect infidelity in your marriage? Are you struggling to gain the truth over a matter of concern? Whatever the concern, we're here to try and help. Email us for free support today at marriagematters@britishmuslim.tv.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Marriage Matters with me, your host, Javaid Iqbal. We're still joined by Sarish. We've been sort of discussing her story before we went for the break. Now, Sarish, just to recap, your dad, bless his soul, he passed away when he was 39. Your mum was 38. You were barely 19. There were 8 of you siblings, the youngest one being 2. Your mum, not having worked for nigh on 20 years, is now having to go back into the sort of workplace, although albeit she's got these life skills, she's got the language skills, but not having worked for so long and just concentrated on raising a family, you're kind of a little bit behind in terms of what's been going on out there as well in the in the big wide world. So I mean, how did your mum cope with that? How did you guys cope? Because obviously you're the eldest, you would have seen sort of seven other siblings below you, your mum trying to navigate this sort of new road that she never thought she'd have to do. But now she's forced, by the will of God, she's forced to sort of do it. What was the impact on her? What was the impact on you? What was the impact on the siblings? How did you see all this with such young eyes?
So as you can imagine, our worlds were turned upside down, and it was an absolute struggle, just emotionally as well. So my mum not only having to look for a job to provide and support us, then she's got her children that she needs to emotionally support. 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 She support her own self and her own well-being. And then I feel we also have the cultural aspect as well. Now she's got the label of a widow, and you would think people come forward and to help and support, but it's more they take a backseat and say, okay, let's see what's going to happen now, what's coming next, or they have comments to make which don't
becomes a sideshow.
Yeah, it's like a show. Yeah, so I felt like we were in a box with everyone watching what is going to happen now. And as a family, when you're grieving as well, it just doesn't help. And I feel like society is easy to put us into a box now. They don't have a father. There's no male role models in that house. She's a widow. However, where is the support from the community as well? So my mum was having to deal with finding a job and us herself. Again, her CV hadn't been updated for 20 years. So it took time and effort. Currently, alhamdulillah, she did find a job eventually. She works 2 jobs. She works really hard. We still, our 4 of us still left at home. So my mum works in the school, as in the kitchens and as a cleaner. And alhamdulillah, inshallah, I want to retire her because I feel like she has been through a lot. But she's just such a strong woman, and I'm just so glad that she did have that experience and those skills prior to getting married, where she was able to have a job because that helped her so much now. I can't imagine if she didn't have any of those skills, if she had never worked, how much harder the situation would have been for us, and especially for my mum to go out into a world where she had no knowledge.
Absolutely. I mean, I can only give massive amount of credit. Not that she needs it from me or anybody, quite frankly, but I think, you know, your mum deserves all the credit and all the sort of, the sort of salutes that come her way for doing what she's done and the way she's obviously done it. I mean, I can safely assume at this point that given that what you saw your own mum go through and given that what you and your siblings went through, this is why female empowerment and why financial independence or having the means, certainly, to be financially dependent is so close to you. So it's not just about being financially dependent, it's actually knowing how to be financially dependent. That's why it's so close, because obviously given what you've been through and seen your mum go through.
Yes, definitely. So when I left teaching, alhamdulillah, I could have stayed at home and just taken care of my family, my children. However, I still looked for other avenues to work around my home, because what I wanted mainly was that time freedom. But even with that time freedom, there were other avenues where I could find a job and work around my children. And I felt that it was so important that I continue to work and stand on my own 2 feet. And through my new job, I met loads of women that cannot write do not have a CV, do not know where to start when writing a CV. They do not know how to manage their own finances, just basic life skills, not even just where to start to get a job, but basic life skills that I feel like every single woman needs to know how to manage finances. I know in our houses we are comfortable and the males are doing it for us, but we need to be able to do that for ourselves because we have no guarantee where life is going to take.
Why do you?
And if any,
so I was going to say, why do you think that isn't already the case? Now, is that a mindset? Because I've met a lot of women who have turned around and said, "I don't want to work. I don't want to go out into the big wide world. I'm quite happy being a housewife. I'm quite happy having kids. I'm quite happy just sitting at home, looking after the kids, looking after my husband, let him go do whatever he wants, as long as I've got a roof over my head and I've got some money. And I don't want to be funny. I don't want the headache of having to worry about the bills. I don't want the headache of having to worry about the mortgage. Let him take care of it. I just want to be a kept woman." And I've seen a lot, and I've heard a lot of women say, when I get married, I just want to be a kept woman. So, I mean, in terms of changing the mindset, do you think that is the first thing that we need to do before we can even talk about financial independence? And these sort of women will then think, hang on a minute, I do need to be financially independent because of these reasons. So do you think there needs to be a discussion about the mindset first?
Yes, definitely. So I think that mindset does come from our culture, and we have been conditioned to think like that women should be at home looking after the children, looking after the home, cooking and cleaning while the male goes out to work. However, even in today's day and age, expenses are the living expenses are increasing day by day. So even if we look at men just going out to work, you do need two people if you have an average job in the UK to manage a household. So it's not just about, I feel sometimes our culture think if women do go out to work, they're gonna become too headstrong, rebellious, hard to control.
Do you think there's a stigma? There's a stigma still attached there, isn't there? I grew up in the 80s, and I'm not going to give away my age. I'm relatively young. I'm joking. I'm not. But there was a stigma where they kind of said our sisters, our daughters, our daughter-in-laws, we never send them to work. You know where they're going to stay at home, and I am the man, and I go hunting, and she stay home, and she cook for me. And there was this whole sort of Tarzan Jane mentality going on. And I think that's kind of seeped into this generation, where I think there's still some form of stigma where they say, you know, you can't let your daughter, sister work, because like you said, they may become independent, but they may get corrupted. They may be exposed to things that they're not exposed to if they're sat at home. And I think that's one of the biggest problems in our society that we've got, that we don't allow our sisters, daughters, mothers, the females in our households to actually go out there and kind of express themselves, explore, and kind of go, you know what, build your own identity, go out there, you know, be self-sufficient, be financially independent. That's what's missing. And I think that's where someone like you come into play, and someone who's heard your story and who's seen, obviously, who's heard your mum's story will definitely be inspired by it.
Definitely, that is my aim. But I just going back to what you said, when they have that men have that certain mindset about their sisters, daughters. I just want to say to those men, if we all had that mentality and we didn't let our mothers, sisters, daughters go out to work, then when your mother needs a doctor, that doctor would be a male. So we do need women out there to do the jobs. So if we all had that mentality, who would be doing the jobs? So it's trying to break that barrier out there and try to change the mindset that we are conditioned. And I think we're going backwards in time when we are saying that women need to be sat at home, because 1400 years ago, Islam gave women the rights to vote, to own and sell property, to own businesses, to take part in politics and society. So why are we going back into time? So it's that topic again, are we following culture or are we following deen?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I know, even Islamic history, our Prophet ﷺ was married to Khadija Radhiyallahu anha, who was a businesswoman. She was like one of the biggest business people, forget women, men and female, but she was one of the biggest business people in her whole area, and she would be the one who would decide who she's going to employ. And that's how she actually met Sallallahu, where she kind of said, right, I want this gentleman who was Sallallahu to be obviously who needs to look after my goods when they're being transported from one place to another. Now, let me ask you another thing. Do you think that women are now exploring avenues, like you mentioned earlier, like they're exploring avenues that before they couldn't even think about? Now, for example, your own example, it says in your little title, which is just over here, if I can see it somewhere, it says teacher to trader. Now, when this says trader, I'm assuming you mean trading commodities, FX, Bitcoin, that kind of stuff. Now, traditionally, people would not think someone, and I'm going to be blunt here, someone who looks like you, who's got your color, who's got the hijab on, who talks like you, who's a northerner, who's a commoner, the whole 9 yards, I'm not insulting, I'm actually praising you, would be trading on them kind of platforms. So what made you do that?
So it is a very male-dominated career. When you think about trading, you think about the bankers sat in their offices making money. However, I saw trading as an opportunity for me to have that financial freedom from the comfort of my own home. Of course, it didn't happen overnight, and it is a skill set that I had to learn. But I got into that because it meant that I could work when I wanted, and that's what I was looking for, an opportunity to work from home.
Wow. And of course, like you said, you can fit around everything. You can fit around your children. You can fit around being at home. But more crucially, and the reason why you did it is it allows you and it gives you that financial independence, that financial freedom that you wanted. Not that there's obviously anything wrong with asking your husband or getting money off from your husband. It's, you know, it's your right and it's his duty to provide for you. But it also means that you've got your own little sort of freedom in your head, thinking I'm not completely reliant on this person.
Yeah. Of course, so when I left teaching, like not like my husband would ever say, no, you can't have this. If I asked him, he's always been good and he would give that to me. But it's from my situation, from seeing my mom in that situation. If I go further back, my grandma was also a widow at a young age. So I always have that within me that I need to have something in place. Should anything happen, I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and provide for myself as well as my 3 young children.
Well, yeah, so it's something more for you. It's more something for your mindset, something for you to know rather than circumstance. Obviously, with your mum, circumstances dictated that she had to do it. It wasn't her own choice. She was thrown into that sort of fire, thrown into that position. Right, brilliant. Sarish, stay right there. We're going to come back after the break, and Sarish, we're going to carry on speaking to her, and we're going to discuss about how she's going to, her projects about empowering women financially. We'll see you after the break. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Do you need help with your marriage? Do you suspect infidelity in your marriage? Are you struggling to gain the truth over a matter of concern? Whatever the concern, we're here to try and help. Email us for free support today at marriagematters@britishmuslim.tv.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our next segment of Marriage Matters with me, your host, Javaid Iqbal. We're still speaking to Sarish as well with regards to female empowerment, especially financial empowerment. Now, let me ask you a question, Sarish. Should women, like you said, your mum, she'd not worked in 19, 20 years, thereabouts, and then obviously she had to work. There's some women I know haven't worked in 19, 20 years. They may be a little bit scared. They may be a little bit behind the times. They may be, like you said, CV's not been updated. They haven't learned anything new. I mean, I know women in their 40s who have been obviously housewives, for want of a better word, housemakers, I should say. You know, that's a very noble sort of pursuit as well. They've been housemakers for the last 20, 25 years. They don't know how to use a computer. They don't know how to, you know, set up an email address. I mean, what would you say to people like that who are just a little bit scared to venture out there because they've been sort of, you know, sort of held back, or they've purposely held themselves back for so long? What would you say to them?
So I've been speaking to quite a lot of women now, and they feel like they can't go out into the world of work because they don't have education behind them. They've got no qualifications. Like in my mum's time, there were no such thing as a laptop, but it's never too late to learn. There are always free courses out there. I know my children's school, they have English courses, computer lessons just for parents as well, so you can always pick up a skill. If you are wanting to do something, just go out and do it. Have that mindset that you can do it.
But where would they start? Where would they start? I mean, I get women, like I said, who come to our office and say, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. I don't know who to speak to. I don't know what avenue to go down. I don't know, do I need to speak to my school, my children's school? Do I need to speak to somebody else? They've not been out there in so long, they just don't know what to do. And it's easy for us, sat here, knowing what we know, to kind of say, look, you need to do this or you need to do that. But some women, as you know, in our community, are completely and utterly locked away. They're completely sort of isolated from the mainstream. What do they do?
So again, there are so many avenues where and support out there for them. They could speak to the home liaison officer at their children's school and plug into any programs that they have there, which are of course mainly free. There's also like support centres, community centres, in the local area, which are always willing and happy to help. Also colleges. So there are different avenues where you can go there. And this is where I am wanting to put another aspect or another avenue in place for these women, where they can come to one certain area. We can help you with building CVs, building life skills, and then once you are ready, going and looking for jobs. So that is something I am looking to get into. At the moment, there are loads of avenues, schools and community centres.
But it's not just about getting the jobs, is it? Like we discussed earlier, they don't have to come to these centres. They don't have to do these things. in order to get a job. They can just come there just so they've got it. Like they say, you know, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So you'd rather have these skill sets. So you'd rather have your CV made up, God forbid, if you do need it, or whatever. You might want to just think, you know what, you know, my sister is what, I won't tell her the age because she's probably watching. She's of a certain age, and she not worked for like 25, 30 years, bringing up the children and looking after my brother-in-law and my nieces and my nephew, etc. And then suddenly she went out and got a job. But you know, she went back to college. She did all her courses. She got her CV up to date, and she'd not worked in so long. But when she went out there, it was like, oh my God, you know, this is actually way different than when I remember it. Am I making sense? And you know, alhamdulillah, she's kind of kept that up now. So, but she didn't have a need to do it. It was just something that came along. So she kind of thought, okay, kids have flown the nest. Husband's doing what he's doing. What am I going to do? Sit at home and, you know, watch TV all day. So, but it's good to have that and not need it. Then, like I said, need it and not have it. So it's not necessarily that you have to do it. It's just something good to have as a life skill. It's good to have as a skill set. It's good to have in terms of, you know what, it's just something, another feather in my cap.
Yeah. So it's just about women looking at and exploring, even if you don't have any qualifications, what is your interest and how, if you needed to turn that into a profession. That doesn't mean you have to turn it into a profession like you said, but it's good to have that safety net that should you need it, you know that you've got the skill sets and you can go out there and earn a living. And like, it's better to be safe than sorry. And if you do have that skill set and you were put into a situation where you are having to provide for yourself and your children, it might be due to divorce, becoming a widow. That situation in itself is so stressful, and then so having that safety net is going to just make that transition a little bit easier.
Yeah. And what about in terms of what we were discussing pre the interval, before the break, is in terms of what's a lot of people, and you know this, you're of a certain background, certain community like myself, is we're always absolutely petrified and we're scared of what is the community going to say? What is my auntie who lives 3,000 miles away in a village who hasn't, you know, left that village in her whole life, what is she going to say? What is my uncle who lives in the back end of nowhere, you know, 40 miles down Lancashire ways, you know, who's got his own problems, but what is he going to say? I mean, you know, what do we do with a mindset?
Okay, so let's be honest, the community are going to talk either way, whether you do good or bad.
It's their job to talk.
There's always going to be someone unhappy with what you do. So it's going to take time changing the community, changing the mindset, but you need to do what is best for you and best for your family, because again, they're going to talk. So
whether you do it, whether you don't do it, I know in our community we're going to talk, because what we do is we love to talk and we're making sense, you know. But one thing I will say is, obviously, and you're using you as an example, is a lot of these women now who want to obviously go out there and do these things and want to become financially independent, they don't have to go down the avenues that maybe the traditional avenues. So we don't have to work in a supermarket. We don't have to have secretarial jobs. We don't have to be admin assistants that were traditional female-led industries, because you yourself are living proof that actually you can be and do whatever you want, even in a male-dominated industry, even in a closed industry like trading and other stuff. You can, you know, barriers are there to be torn, you know, ceilings are there to be ripped down, and, you know, you're leading the way on that. And, you know, women should maybe do the same. They should, you know, take heart from that.
I think women think that it's society that's putting the barrier on them and they can't do a certain thing. But I feel like it's ourselves. We are putting our barrier on ourselves of what our limit is. We are giving ourselves that cap. If you want to do something, go out and do it. Have that self-belief in yourself, and hopefully with time and effort you can achieve it, because society is going to talk. I just want to go back to Islam. Like, we should be living to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the neighbors, not somebody living in a village far away. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But if it was only that easy, Sarish, that's the problem. If it only,
I know, but we need to start thinking
it
like
was that easy, because seriously, you know, that auntie Sugra, I call her, that auntie Sugra in the village who lives 5,000 miles, she is more important, and her views are more important than what somebody who is here, who's right next door, what they think. She, who you've not seen in maybe 15, 20 years, she's got more power, and we give them that power, and we need to take that power back.
We need to take that power back and stop giving that power. Because even if you did what that auntie wants you to do, she will find something else to talk about or to pick at. So you're never going to please that auntie. So you need to take that power back and do you. Because if you come into a situation where you need to be financially independent, nobody is going to put that food on the table. That auntie is not going to come and provide for you. She's just going to sit back and watch. So you need to make sure that you are secure within yourselves. You have them skill sets to be able to provide for yourself, because the rest of the world are going to sit back and watch the show.
Yeah, but not only that, I think it gives you that sense of achievement as well. So like I said, even if you didn't want to go out there and you don't want to work, but you've got that sense of achievement that actually I've done this thing and I've done something. And like I said, I know I've got a lot of close personal friends who don't want to go out there and work, but they'll do a course that'll take them maybe a year, 2 years to do, and it's a relatively difficult course. But at the end of it, they'll say, you know what, I didn't do it to work. I did it as a sense of achievement to say, listen, I've been out of the sort of loop for so long, but I've come back and I've done this course in accounting or something to do with sort of pharmacy or something, with anything, but I've done it, and I feel sort of good about that. It's about your inner self as well, about making yourself feel good about you. So it's not just about that, and that is also empowering. So it's not just a financial empowerment that he achieves. It's about making yourself feel better, to say, you know what, I'm worth something as well, that I can actually do this.
Definitely as well. And then when you are achieving these goals, then your children are watching as well, and you're that role model for your children, to show, even if they go into the line where they're not wanting to work, you're showing them that you still need something behind you, maybe a skill set, a qualification there. So at the same time, you've got that confidence, you've achieved something as well, but we are also showing our children.
It trickles down, doesn't it?
Role models,
yeah, it trickles down. I mean, we are the sort of, whether we like it or not, our children look to us as role models, because obviously as parents, we're the primary thing that they see. So as a mother and a father, the first thing they see is, okay, that's what a male should be like, and that is what a female should be like, because that's all. And the sort of better examples that we give out there, the better things that we do, it's only going to enhance their understanding and development of the world as well.
Yes,
so obviously, and if we turn around and, if as a father I turn around and say, well, no, actually, the wife she cannot work and she's going to stay in the kitchen, and how dare she leave the kitchen? I take my wife everywhere and she still finds a way home, and all that stuff. And then, the children are going to be like, okay, maybe this is what a male is and this is what a female is. But like I said, if we empower the female, certainly, like I said, not necessarily financially, but if we show the children that, you know what, there's nothing at all that a male can do that a female can't do.
Yeah,
that's going to make the world a better place.
Yep, and then that's where we're going to start breaking those cultural barriers. So definitely, yeah. So
no, and I think that's what's needed.
Yeah, that is what is needed. But here again, there are many women that are wanting to do that and having something behind them, even if they don't use it. So we do need to change the males' mindsets more as well, and ensure that they are supporting women to make that move.
But I always say it's going to come down to the female. See, as males, and I can speak as a male, we're in a winning position. So we could just kind of go, yes, no, no, I know that's not going to happen. Yes, that's going to happen, because it's already lopsided towards us anyway. It's already geared towards us. So if we're in a winning position, we're not going to be the instigators of change. We're not going to be the ones who are going to say, actually, you know what, that's the way it should. I'm not saying all men, don't get me wrong here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a blanket sort of statement, but traditionally that's what happened. That's why our societies have taken so long to actually move ahead. Sarish, stay right there. What we are going to discuss with you is the projects you've undertaken personally to empower men after the break. So inshallah, take care, and we'll see you on the inside for our last segment.
Do you need help with your marriage? Do you suspect infidelity in your marriage? Are you struggling to gain the truth over a matter of concern? Whatever the concern, we're here to try and help. Email us for free support today at marriagematters@britishmuslim.tv.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the last segment of Marriage Matters with me, your host, Javaid Iqbal. We are still speaking to Sarish with regards to women empowerment, female empowerment, financially, otherwise, everything. Now, Sarish, we've spoken a lot about the theories and we've spoken a lot about, obviously, you and personal and everything. What is it you're doing? Tell me, obviously, what is Sarish doing? What is she involved in order to sort of make a difference to the lives of women and the projects that you yourself have taken up, and more importantly, plans for the future to obviously roll this out on a much bigger scale?
Yeah, so at the moment, it's just on a small scale. I'm just trying to do as much as I can to empower women to become financially independent. So this week, I raised some money for women in Pakistan so that they can be financially independent, because when you give widows in Pakistan money, you're feeding them for a day, a week, for a month. However, if you teach them skill sets like baking or sewing, then you're feeding them for the rest of their life, because they have a method to continue to bring the income in. So I am wanting to do that on a larger scale, inshallah, in the future, build my own sewing communities for the women in Muslim countries where widows don't have the support that we have in the UK. Also locally, I am helping women. Women are coming to me and saying they need help in certain aspects. This week alone, I helped a lady to start a personalization business because that's where her skill set lie in. So I am trying to do as much as I can on my own, so to help those gain those life skills, even if it just means I'm signposting them to the right people that can then professionally help them. But in the future, I am wanting to build something bigger where women can come and gain these life skills, if it's just to have in the background, or if it is to go out and work. That is what I'm wanting to develop.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's very commendable. And just to put this out there, obviously, when you're raising this money and you're, for want of a better word, setting up these businesses, because obviously you're providing the sewing machines, you're providing the lifestyle, you've got no interest in the businesses that these females are now going out and setting up. So, you know, if you're helping somebody to set up a sewing school, for argument's sake, you're not interested in that business. You don't have an interest. You're not saying, it's not, you know, like a TV show where they say, I want 30% of the business and I'm going to give you, you know,
no.
20
There's
grand
no
or whatever.
financial gain for myself. This is just something that I am wanting to do a long run to help women with no financial gain for myself.
And what about on the education side? Because obviously you've spoken a lot about the sort of work side. So obviously you're doing this, raising money to get the sewing machines, let's say, as one example. Like you said, if you give money to a widow, or you give money to a needy person, they're going to feed themselves for maybe a day, maybe 2 days. Whereas obviously if you give them a life skill, or you tell them to buy something, or you buy them something that they can then use as sort of to raise money themselves, i.e. as a job, as an occupation, they're going to feed themselves forever. You know, it's the whole fisherman analogy and the fish and the sort of fishing rod. Now, but in terms of education, is there anything that you're doing on that side as well?
So with education, I am supporting women to get into the same field as I am. So that is something that I have in place separate to what the charity work that I do. But I am wanting to open somewhere where women who can't speak English, are wanting to learn, can't write a CV, can't open a bank account. I am wanting to put something together where they know where to go to get that support, and to have that education so that they have those life skills that can empower them to become more independent.
So it's just going back to the sort of basic life skills. Like you said, it's about having your own bank account. It's about having a CV that you can rely on. It's about knowing how to change a phone bill. It's about knowing just, you know, the sort of basics in life. And is that predominantly, are you planning to do that all here in this country, or are you also doing international projects? I know you didn't mention you'd raised some money for Pakistan, and obviously there's a lady out there who you helped sort of get some sewing machines that she can start running her own business. So are you going to start off locally and then push it out, or is it as and when it's needed?
Well, I am wanting to take over the world with this, but at the moment,
Go for it. Knock yourself out. I mean, the intention is brilliant. What you want to achieve is brilliant, and you should be able to take over the world. But unfortunately, as we all know, it's just
scale down.
It's going to be. They always say, you're going to change one mind at a time, one heart at a time, and that's the way it's going to have to be.
Yeah. So starting locally, helping the women locally, and then just take it from there. And hopefully, inshallah, see where it goes and start expanding. But just one day at a time, one woman at a time, inshallah.
And what about your own business? So obviously you do this trading, Forex and Bitcoin or what. I'm too old for all this stuff. I just, I've got a $5 and a $10 and I'm quite happy with that. So you've got all this Forex stuff. I mean, how's that working out for you? And how are you finding women responding to that, given, like we said earlier, it is an industry that obviously, forget Asian women with hijabs on, women per se usually don't go into. So how are you finding the response to that when you're approaching women who haven't worked for 20, 30 years and you're going, you know what, let's make some money on Forex. Let me teach you how to do that.
Yeah, so there are some, honestly, especially in the town that I'm in, women are taking over.
You're in Bradford, tell them, loud and proud.
In Bradford, women are taking over Forex,
Sarish,
crypto.
with all due respect, seriously, like, I'm from Bradford, you're from Bradford, but your accent is pure Bradford, and I absolutely love it. And I said that to you earlier.
And I'm proud.
I said that to you when we spoke last time. And I was like, no, you are Bradford through and through, mashallah. And there's nothing but pride there, and there should be nothing but pride there. So I think Bradford, as a whole town, you are a good representative of that town, a city.
I love representing Bradford women. I love sounding common. This is who I am.
Brilliant.
Doesn't mean that it's any barriers or we can't go anywhere because of where we're from. So there's nothing wrong with sounding like I am. I know I've got a really strong accent, but going back in Bradford, as women, we are literally taking over the investment side, the crypto, Forex. There are so many different companies out there teaching women from the basics. If I can do it, there is no reason why other women can't do it. We have ladies from different countries who can't speak fluent English that are learning the trade. So there's so much potential out there for everyone.
But when you first approach them, do you see that there's a little bit of hesitancy? Do you think that some women kind of go, whoa, no, Sarish, I'm happy to be a secretary or an assistant, or I'll happily work in a school or whatever, but I don't know what's all this, sort of US dollars and GBP and crypto, is there a resistance? And more importantly, how are your clients, when I say clients, obviously the women that you're teaching and helping out, how are their husbands reacting to this?
So again, when I started myself, I was resistant myself. I saw the charts and I just said to my husband, what have I done? I've just paid for this course to learn how to trade. I can't do this. And I just broke it down, calmed down, and I just gave it a go, kept going. So it's not a traditional job, so there are many objections against it, and especially with husbands, because there is no, it's like a business, there is profit and loss in there, but it's about learning a skill set. Why I promote this to women is you could be on the other side of the world with a laptop and you are able to earn an income, but it doesn't happen overnight. People think, oh, she's a trader and she's got a Lamborghini, she's going to have a Lamborghini parked in her drive. It does not happen like that.
I should hope so. Have you got a Lamborghini? You should have two by now.
It's coming. It's on its way.
Both of them, yeah. So next time I see you, I want to see two Lamborghinis. And then you need to buy me one, yeah? You've said it on live TV now. We're on live. You're going to buy me a Lamborghini, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Right. Once I bought myself too, yeah.
That's a contract in law now.
Everyone's heard it now.
You're done for. But yeah, you're saying that people have an image, I suppose. The people have a certain image that, like you said, they're trading. There must be, there's a certain sort of image that is portrayed when people trade and they do that. And I've worked in trading before. I used to work in the city many moons ago, and it's not glamorous, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of number crunching.
It's not for everyone as well. Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
it's about being disciplined. If you don't have that discipline, it just won't work out for you. But it's also being persistent and consistent and keep going. Just like when you're learning to drive, it takes time, it takes effort. The more you practice, the better you come, and it is like that. So the results don't come straight away.
But do you think that the lessons that you learn within what you're doing, the trading and teaching, you think they can be applied, obviously across the board? They can be applied in different industries, in different, because it's a skill set that you're teaching people, essentially,
yes, of course,
which is persistence. Sort of, you know, you got to be persistent, you got to be consistent, and you've got to be disciplined. So them kind of skill sets you can use them across the board anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So you can take those transferable skills to any other job as well. So yeah, definitely.
Well, so what's the future for you then? Tell us, before we wrap up, what's the future looking for Sarish then? Apart from Eid, obviously, whether it's Monday or Tuesday, apart from Eid, which we don't know when it's going to be, what else is there in the future of you?
Well, now I need to get 3 Lamborghinis. But apart from that,
2 for you, 1 for me, 3, yeah?
Yeah. Apart from that, I'm just wanting to do more work with female empowerment and helping women. And it's not that I want, this is something in my core. This is something I strongly feel.
You've lived through it though. That's the thing here. And I think nobody can deny that. That's what makes you so viable. It makes you so much more viable that it's not just empty rhetoric. It's not just empty words. You've lived through it. You've been through it. And people, you can empathize with other females who are actually living through it now.
Yeah. So this isn't about me promoting what I do. It's about promoting to women that you can do anything. Have something, even if it's a business from home, have something there, because I just want to stop women from being in the same situation that we were in, and I want more women to be independent, so that they have that self-confidence, they have that self-belief, they feel empowered. And with that, we are teaching our daughters that this is the way of life. We're teaching our sons this is how as well.
Can do it as well. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Sarish, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sarish, an absolute role model for absolutely everybody, to be honest. Thank you very much for joining us. Inshallah, we'll be back now, not next Saturday, the following Tuesday, our normal slot at 9 p.m. Take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum.
Do you need help with your marriage? Do you suspect infidelity in your marriage? Are you struggling to gain the truth over a matter of concern? Whatever the concern, we're here to try and help. Email us for free support today at marriagematters@britishmuslim.tv.